They said it was chicken, whole white meat, juicy, safe. But what if I told you that some of the biggest chicken sandwiches in America today come with a hidden risk you never signed up for? Over 400,000 pounds of processed poultry were recalled last year due to contamination. In one case, it wasn't just bacteria, it was metal. Real metal. The kind your teeth don't forgive. But that's not even the worst part. A single bite from a mislabeled sandwich sent multiple people into anaphylactic shock. Another chain got caught rinsing cooking tools in mop sinks. And one so-called fresh sandwich. Turns out it was freezer-burned meat sold as farm-to-table. What else don't you know? When lunch starts sounding more like a crime scene than a comfort meal, it's time to wake up. Stay with me because what you're about to discover isn't just a list. It's a full-blown breakdown of which chicken sandwiches are quietly risking your health, and the rare few that might actually be worth your trust. Number 1. Slim chickens. Slim chickens. The name alone is a trick. It whispers clean, fresh, lean. You picture a grilled chicken breast crisp, lettuce, a toasted bun, maybe even a mason jar of sweet tea on the side. But the reality, it's a frozen industrial lie dressed up in Southern charm. And worse, they've built an empire on it. This chain, now spreading across over 100 locations in the US, built its reputation on fresh chicken and house-made meals. But in mid-2025, a lawsuit surfaced that shattered that illusion. Plaintiffs accused Slim Chickens of false advertising, claiming the brand had knowingly marketed industrial pre-processed frozen chicken as freshly prepared. That house-made ranch, pulled from factory tubs, that hand-breaded chicken, battered and frozen in bulk weeks in advance. This isn't just a brand exaggerating its image. This is mass deception wrapped in grease-proof paper. In a country where nearly 40% of consumers now actively avoid ultra-processed meat, this kind of dishonesty isn't just unethical, it's dangerous. It chips away at the last threads of trust people have in food labels and menu boards and what lands on their plate. But Slim Chickens didn't stop there. They scaled fast using franchise incentives that reward volume over quality. That means rapid expansions, looser controls, and growing reliance on third-party supply chains, the very kind of setup that's most vulnerable to cross-contamination, mislabeling, and logistical shortcuts. And the chickens. Many are traced to large poultry suppliers, linked to violations involving overcrowded farms, poor sanitation, and in some cases, salmonella outbreaks in the last 5 years. None of that shows up in the menu photos. Instead, we get stylized chicken sandwiches shot like fine dining. We get buzzwords, authentic, made fresh Southern roots. And while they may sound comforting, none of them are regulated. Not by the USDA, not by the FDA. The truth is, any chain can say fresh even if that chicken took a cross-country road trip in a frozen truck and sat in cold storage for over 21 days. And the worst part, most folks won't know until it's too late. Because the damage here isn't just what's on your tray, it's psychological, it's systemic. It tells people to stop cooking at home because chains can do it better. It tells retirees on fixed incomes that this $5 sandwich is a worthy dinner. It tells people with high blood pressure and autoimmune diseases that this is real food, when in fact it's just processed filler engineered to hold moisture and fry evenly. It's not just a sandwich. It's a symbol of how corporate food systems manipulate perception, blur truth, and quietly lower the bar for what we accept as edible. And if one brand can build a lie into a franchise, how many more are doing the same right now? Stay with me. Because what's coming next isn't just about poor sandwiches. It's about the machinery behind them, the sourcing, the recalls, the lawsuits, the kitchens that pass inspection without ever being clean. This is no longer just fast food. It's fast deception. And the deeper we go, the more you'll see why it's not just Slim Chickens you need to watch out for. Number 2, Purdue.
Sure, USDA issuing a public alert for Purdue's frozen, ready-to-eat chicken breast tenders labeled gluten-free. The agency said the product may contain small pieces of clear plastic and blue dye.
If you still want to enjoy your chicken nuggets without flinching, you might want to skip this part. Because once you know what's been buried under layers of golden breading and clever branding, you can't unsee it. Purdue, the household name that built its legacy on trust and all-American chicken, is at the center of a quiet scandal that's been swept under the rug. A scandal involving sharp metal fragments embedded inside their nuggets. Not once, not twice, but multiple times over the last 3 years. In late 2024, Purdue was forced to recall over 75,000 pounds of fully cooked chicken nuggets after consumers reported finding thin wire-like shards in their food. And these weren't rumors. These were confirmed federally documented cases, including injuries to the mouth and throat. Parents were pulling nuggets from kids' plates in panic. Grocery stores pulled bags off shelves. But by then, how many lunches had already gone down? And let's get something straight. This wasn't some off-brand discount product. This was labeled as premium, sold as safe, marketed directly to families and schools. And yet somehow metal made it past the factory through inspection and into dinner. What does that tell you? It tells you that the problem runs deeper than just a bad batch. This is about the unchecked scale of food production in America. It's about machines that process hundreds of thousands of pounds per day with blades that break bolts that slip and zero human eyes on the final tray. It's about regulatory agencies stretched too thin with fewer inspectors today than we had 10 years ago, and more product than ever flowing out the door. And Purdue. They're not new to this game. They've spent decades shaping the image of clean, family-friendly chicken. Meanwhile, they've also faced citations for improper handling worker abuse and contamination risks at several facilities. A name doesn't protect you from liability, it just makes the headlines quieter. Now here's where it gets worse. Many fast food chains and school cafeterias use bulk chicken from major suppliers like Purdue. Even if the sandwich you're eating isn't branded as Purdue, the chicken inside might have come from one of their plants. Especially when it's pre-cooked frozen or processed into patties, tenders, or yes nuggets. Once it enters the supply chain, traceability disappears behind contracts and distribution warehouses. That's the part no one talks about. The blurring of accountability. You're not just dealing with one brand. You're facing a network of suppliers, subcontractors, repackagers, and transportation links all making money while the product moves further away from transparency. And each layer means another opportunity for things to go wrong undetected. So maybe next time you see a deal for a $5 chicken sandwich combo, it's worth asking what part of that dollar is paying for safety. Stay with me. Because this isn't just about one nugget with a sharp surprise. It's about the factory logic that allows it to keep happening. About how something so small, a sliver of metal, reveals something massive. A system that puts speed and profit over people. And we're only 2 sandwiches in. What's next will leave you wondering how much you really know about the food in your hands. Number 3. Sheehan Brothers Vending. Slide in $1. Press B6. Out drops your lunch. For millions of Americans, vending machines are part of daily life. Office break rooms, hospital hallways, gas stations, factory floors. A cheap, fast, no-fuss meal that asks no questions. And until now, neither did we. But in early 2025, the Sheehan Brothers Vending Company was hit with a recall that changed that overnight. One of their ready-to-eat chicken sandwiches, a product distributed across multiple states, was found to contain sesame. No warning, no label, no allergy notice. Just a silent threat tucked between 2 slices of bread. For people with sesame allergies, this isn't a mild inconvenience. It's a one-bite emergency. It can trigger swelling, vomiting shock, and in extreme cases, death. And yet this sandwich was sold in public spaces with no oversight, no allergen label, and no way for someone to know what they were really eating. The FDA stepped in. The product was pulled, but the damage was already done, because this wasn't a one-off mistake. This was the result of a system that treats vending food like an afterthought, cheap to make, cheap to move, and cheap to regulate. Many of these products are handled by third-party assemblers who buy parts in bulk, slap together sandwiches with industrial spreads and mystery meat, and ship them off with generic stickers that say little and mean even less. And who eats them? The working class. The exhausted. The people doing 12-hour shifts who don't have time to leave the site. Seniors in hospital waiting rooms. Single parents grabbing something between errands. People on the edge physically, financially, emotionally, who rely on convenience because the system left them no choice. They don't need artisanal menus. They need safe food. Instead, they're given time bombs. And here's the ugly truth: sesame was only declared a major allergen in the US as of January 1st, 2023. Before that, it wasn't even required to be listed, which means countless products, sandwiches, rolls, marinades flew under the radar, and the company selling them never bothered to double check. Sheehan Brothers is just the first to get caught. Others will follow. Because once you open the vending machine door, you realize it's not just chips and sodas anymore. It's meat, mayo, processed cheese, and preservatives stacked in dark trucks for weeks, often past their prime, often uninspected, and always untraceable once they're sold. This is the kind of system that punishes the people who have the least power to question it, and the companies behind it. They thrive in that silence. They don't need marketing. They don't need your trust. They just need the machine to keep working. So, next time you press that button for lunch, ask yourself one thing. When did food stop being food? Keep watching. Because what's coming next isn't just worse. It's happening inside chains you probably drive past every single day. The kind with bright menus, drive-thrus, and brand names you've trusted for decades. And just like this one, they might be hiding more than you think. Number 4, Jack in the Box. If you're thinking of grabbing a chicken sandwich from Jack in the Box today, don't. Not unless you're comfortable biting into a menu that's become more unpredictable than a coin toss. This isn't just about mystery meat or soggy lettuce. It's about a national chain that's quietly unraveling one undercooked patty, one unsanitized prep station, one failed inspection at a time. In the last 18 months alone, Jack in the Box locations across multiple states have been cited for improper food handling, inconsistent cooking temperatures, and serious hygiene violations. Not a decade ago. Not some isolated store in the middle of nowhere. We're talking recent, widespread, and deeply worrying. And yet the commercials keep rolling. Animated mascots, quirky jingles, $4 combo meals served with a wink. It's all a distraction. Because behind the jokes is a chain caught in a cost-cutting spiral. Reduced labor hours, understaffed kitchens, and a growing dependence on automated prep systems. You'd think automation means precision. But what it actually means is less accountability, less training, less oversight, more food made fast, not safe. Some locations have reported using mop sinks to rinse utensils during rush hour. Others have faced repeat complaints about pink chicken greasy equipment and expired sauces. Internal audits show some of the worst performing stores are also the busiest, pushed to keep lines moving while skipping essential safety checks. This isn't an accident, it's a business model. Because once a chain like Jack in the Box starts prioritizing volume over quality, everything else becomes negotiable. Ingredient sourcing, storage protocols, even sanitation schedules. It's all just numbers on a spreadsheet to corporate. And if the food doesn't kill someone today, that's good enough. And yes, regulators know. But here's the thing, with over 200,000 food service locations across the country, and a shrinking team of federal and state inspectors, most violations never go public. They're marked as resolved, buried in paperwork, or written off as local management issues. Meanwhile, the chicken keeps getting fried. What that means for you. You're not just buying a sandwich, you're buying into a chain of decisions, most of which you'll never see, never question, never even know about. And Jack in the Box is betting on that silence, because silence is cheap, but the impact, it spreads. It reinforces a system where working families settle for convenience over clarity, where seniors on a fixed income accept whatever combo deal fits the budget, where people with heart conditions, autoimmune disorders, or food allergies take real risks without even knowing it. That chicken sandwich isn't just lunch. It's a symptom. A symptom of how low the bar is dropped and how little some chains care about raising it again. And we're not done yet. The next name on this list isn't just another brand. It's a company that made the kind of mistake you read about in health department bulletins, the kind that ends with people in the ER. Keep watching, because the deeper we dig, the darker it gets. And by the end of this list, you'll understand why some chicken sandwiches are more than just bad choices. They're warnings, wrapped in paper, served with a side of denial. Number 5, Fresh Realm. Fresh Realm sounds like the kind of name you'd expect from a brand selling vitamins or yoga mats. Clean, pure, forward-thinking. But behind the green logo and sleek packaging lies a story that's anything but fresh. And if you've eaten one of their pre-packaged chicken sandwiches recently, you may want to take a long, hard look at what's actually in it. Because in July of this year, Fresh Realm triggered a recall that swept through 5 states and rattled the ready-to-eat food sector. The issue: undeclared allergens and incomplete labeling again. Not one, but multiple chicken sandwich products left their facilities carrying undisclosed sesame and dairy ingredients. For anyone with food sensitivities, this wasn't a minor slip. It was a landmine in a plastic wrapper. But it doesn't stop at allergens. Some of Fresh Realm's cold chain logistics, the very thing they pride themselves on, have shown cracks in the past 6 months. Reports surfaced that several distribution centers had faulty refrigeration units, leading to fluctuating temperatures during transport. That might not sound dramatic, until you remember that bacteria like Listeria thrive in exactly that kind of unstable environment. And Listeria doesn't just cause stomach aches, it causes hospitalizations. In pregnant women, it can lead to miscarriage. In the elderly, it can be fatal. Now pause. Imagine this product with hidden allergens and questionable transport landing in a hospital cafeteria, or inside a school vending machine, or in the lunch bag of a senior living on food stamps who trusted the label and couldn't afford to double check. That's not just failure, that's negligence dressed up in marketing. And yet Fresh Realm continues to position itself as a health-forward company. They partner with big-name retailers. They supply meals to grocery chains that target health-conscious families. But behind the public image is a business model that prioritizes speed over verification, contracts over caution, and a regulatory system that hasn't kept up with the explosion of these fresh meal kits popping up in stores across the country. Here's the dirty little secret of the fresh food boom. The more complex the supply chain, the easier it is to hide mistakes. By the time one of these sandwiches hits the shelf, it's passed through a minimum of 4 different checkpoints: production, packing, distribution, retail. And at any one of those, if the paperwork doesn't match the product, the whole thing becomes a guessing game. But the customer, they never see that part. They just see farm, fresh, crafted, clean protein. Empty phrases that sound healthy, but aren't regulated by any authority. This isn't about one sandwich. It's about the illusion of safety that lets brands like Fresh Realm get away with shortcuts. Because when everything is branded as premium, who's really watching the ingredients? Keep watching. Because the deeper we go, the more you'll see that the danger isn't just in greasy drive-thrus or vending machine back alleys. It's right there in the healthy aisle, in the chilled section, in the brands that smile back at you from the shelf, promising better while hiding worse. And next up, we're flipping the script. We're looking at the rare few that are actually getting it right. But even there, the truth is more complicated than you think. After walking through 5 ticking time bombs disguised as chicken sandwiches, it's hard not to feel disillusioned. The brands we thought we could trust, from vending machines to frozen aisles, have blurred the line between convenience and danger. But here's the twist: not every chain sold out for shortcuts. One name surprisingly has held its ground. Number 1, Chick-fil-A. A rare brand that actually respects the promises it makes. And in an industry built on marketing, half-truths, and processed fillers, that alone is a rebellion. Let's be clear, Chick-fil-A isn't perfect. But in a fast food world drowning in scandals, this chain has consistently done what others won't: protect quality at scale. Their chicken isn't flash-frozen mystery meat repurposed from industrial waste streams. It's hand-breaded in-store, pressure-cooked in peanut oil and made fresh, not microwave behind a tinted glass door. But the real difference is structural. Chick-fil-A owns its supply chain more tightly than most national chains. They've invested millions into vetting poultry suppliers, training franchise operators, and standardizing kitchen operations. While other brands rely on third-party logistics and slapdash warehousing, Chick-fil-A enforces protocols like a military drill. That's not a compliment. That's a fact, and it shows in the numbers. The company ranks consistently at the top of consumer satisfaction reports. In 2024, it recorded one of the lowest incident rates of food-related complaints among all national quick-service chains. While competitors were issuing allergy recalls and sanitation violations, Chick-fil-A quietly passed audit after audit, including surprise inspections at over 700 locations. That kind of consistency doesn't come cheap. It comes from obsession, from a corporate culture that, for better or worse, treats operational discipline like religion. And while critics often point to their politics, the food itself remains one of the safest bets in fast dining. But don't confuse clean track records with complacency. Chick-fil-A's strict standards also reflect how broken the rest of the industry is. It shouldn't be exceptional to serve chicken without Listeria, metal, or undeclared sesame. That should be the baseline. And yet here we are naming a brand for simply doing what others pretend to do. Because in today's economy, where customers are forced to choose between low price and low risk, that kind of transparency feels radical, especially to the millions of Americans living on tight budgets, managing food allergies, or just trying to find one meal that doesn't require a Google search before ordering. So no, Chick-fil-A isn't flawless, but it's one of the few brands where your lunch isn't playing Russian roulette with your health. And in this list that earns them their spot. Keep watching, because next we'll look at the final name that didn't cave to cost-cutting chaos. A brand that built trust the old-fashioned way by earning it. And if you're tired of fast food roulette, you're going to want to know who's still playing fair. Number 2, Shake Shack. Shake Shack never promised to be cheap, and thank God for that. Because in a food economy where slashed prices almost always mean slashed standards, Shake Shack made a different bet, one that most chains wouldn't dare take. They built their reputation not on speed but on standards. Not on margin, but on meat. While other fast food chains were racing to automate, consolidate, and cut corners, Shake Shack quietly partnered with family-run poultry farms. Every chicken sandwich that hits their grill is free of antibiotics. No mystery suppliers. No vague white meat label slapped onto boxes shipped from unknown facilities in the Midwest. And here's where it gets serious. In 2023, as multiple fast casual brands issued recalls for Listeria metal fragments and undeclared allergens, Shake Shack reported 0 food safety violations across their flagship locations. 0. Not one outbreak, not one citation for temperature abuse, not one incident involving improperly labeled ingredients. In an era where that kind of consistency has become almost mythical, Shake Shack turned it into a system. But this isn't just about food prep. It's about supply chain ethics. Shake Shack is one of the few national brands that refuses to treat sourcing like a numbers game. Their vendors are audited more often than some state-regulated facilities. And that's no exaggeration. Chickens used in their sandwiches come from farms where standards match or exceed USDA minimums. They don't wait for lawsuits to enforce quality. They build the guardrails before the damage happens. And maybe that's why their menu costs a little more. Because what you're buying isn't just flavor. You're buying traceability, accountability, and for once, peace of mind. Especially if you're someone living with autoimmune issues, or on medication that limits what your body can tolerate, or just someone who's sick of rolling the dice every time you eat out. Shake Shack isn't just another trendy burger joint with neon signs and Instagrammable trays. It's one of the last places where the label means what it says. But here's the twist. Even Shake Shack isn't immune to the larger pressures of the food industry. Rising grain prices, global supply chain disruptions, labor shortages. All of it still hits them. But unlike most of their competitors, they haven't responded by watering down the product. No hidden substitutions, no quietly smaller portions, no backdoor supplier switches. They hold the line, even when it costs them. That's not just business, that's principle. So if you've made it this far through the minefield of chicken sandwiches, Shake Shack is one of the rare exits worth taking. It's not about brand loyalty. It's about knowing which names still have something to lose if they betray your trust. And as we round this out, remember, the deeper you dig into the food industry, the more rot you uncover. But it's not all bad news. Some brands are still fighting the current, still choosing safety over shortcuts. And now that you've seen both sides of the list, the real question isn't what should I eat? It's this: which brands actually deserve a place on your plate? You made it. Through the grease, the recalls, the deception, and the rare exceptions that still respect your trust. This wasn't just about chicken sandwiches. It was about what we've allowed the food system to become. A place where brands gamble with your health, your money, and your faith in something as basic as lunch. And yet a few still prove that doing it right is possible. So next time you unwrap a sandwich, remember the real danger isn't what you taste. It's what you don't see. Stay sharp, stay awake, and never let the label make the decision for you.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think Drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.